Allô, Nissan? Hey, grosse tempête, hein?
Hey, Karine, oui, je sais, les vilains bonhommes de neige sont de retour.
Mais avec le Nissan Rogue à traction intégrale, c'est pas stressant.
Exact, il est conçu et testé pour nos hivers. Oh, Karine, il y a un bonhomme dans le Rogue.
Ah, c'est correct. J'ai allumé les sièges chauffants.
Ah, bien joué, Karine. Maîtrisez toutes les conditions. Louez le Rogue S 2026 à partir de 0,4% jusqu'à 36 mois, incluant une réduction fidélité de 0,5% pour les clients Nissan admissibles. Jusqu'au 2 mars, sur approbation de crédit, les conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
Wouldn't it be nice if someone paid your mortgage? Wouldn't that be nice? Turns out City of Montreal might be paying mortgages for some developers in this city, all for high-rise luxury projects, right? You know that project near the old Montreal Children's Hospital downtown. An arrangement that was approved between the city and the developer Devimco back in 2019. It seems to go against provincial rules, which forbid any municipality to give a for-profit business direct or indirect financial help. But it's been uncovered, some terrific reporting in the Montreal Gazette this week. And let's find out a little bit more from Manuel Johnson, is a Montreal lawyer who frequently represents low-income tenants and who has read this agreement, the mortgage documents happening here in this deal that the city's done with this developer. Manuel, welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for the invitation.
Now, I'll be very honest, right? I am a dumb radio host. There are so many things, so many parts of this story that go over my head, right? Because I just don't understand how a lot of these things work when you've got developers and making deals with the city. For you, from your legal mindset, what are the parts of this deal that raise alarm bells for you?
Well, that is part of the issue. In fact, it's very complex arrangement, and even for lawyers, it's not easy to break it down. But what the red flag here is that the city is going to be paying at least $68 million in compensation to the developer to be able to use a part of the site for a library, for a community center, and for a place to hold concerts and things like that. Now, $68 million without having any property rights whatsoever at the end of it's a 40-year arrangement. Okay, so that's a lot of money right there. Moreover, the city is going to be spending $41.5 million to build the library and the community center, and that those improvements as well, the city will have no property rights over them at the end of the deal. Mm-hmm. So, and what's most shocking about it, from my point of view, as someone who's I'm not a real estate lawyer per se. I'm an advocate. I represent low-income tenants. So it's in the context of a housing crisis where there's a real lack of affordable housing in Montreal, and the city's rolling out the red carpet, and not just rolling out the red carpet, but spending considerable amount of taxpayers' money. And in the end of the day, I mean, everybody's for libraries. I'm happy to have a new library in the city, but it seems to be an exorbitant amount of money, and the city is renouncing a lot of their legal rights to obtain some compensation for the improvement. They're renouncing their rights to, for example, in this kind of arrangement, normally if the property is sold during the contract, the city would have the right to benefit from the profits. They renounce their rights to benefit from those profits. And if you get back to square one, remember that this land was public land. This was our land. This was taxpayers' land that was sold by the Quebec government for $25 million in 2015. So it's like it's as if I heard your example of wouldn't we like the city to pay back our mortgage? Yes, it's as if a homeowner sold their home and then paid the new owner considerably more than what they sold it for, just for the right to stay on there. It doesn't make any sense, and that does raise alarm bells. And as you mentioned as well, there's a provincial law which prohibits indirect or direct subsidies to private enterprises, and there's an appearance of that here.
So this is the question that I have. Like, how does it get approved? How does it happen if it's illegal? If it's not allowed to happen, how did it happen?
Well, the question of whether it's illegal or not, that would be a question to be settled by the courts. You know, as a lawyer, I can't come and say, well, this is definitely illegal. What I can say is that it rings alarm bells, and there's arguments that could be made that it's illegal. A judge would have to settle that. But that's a very good question. Who is making these decisions? It seems to be a very bad financial decision, and again, morally, where the city has a responsibility to provide services and to represent the entire population. Why are we prioritizing this private developer and giving them such a sweetheart deal? We don't see the city backing social housing projects over 40 years, paying back the mortgage, and et cetera. So, sorry about that. This is the moral and the political question that it raises. What are the real priorities of the city of Montreal in the context where, again, there's such important needs for tenants, for low-income people, and why are we helping a private developer to increase their profit margin?
So what do you think should happen now? Now that this has been brought to light, now that these agreements have been exposed to sunlight, what should happen now?
Hold on a second. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, they hung up. Well, I don't know. It's the project is going forward. It may be too late to correct what's happened on the children's site, but in the future, public land should be regarded as something precious. It's our collective patrimony. The city and the government of Quebec should not be selling off these sites to private developers. That's not in the public interest. This land should stay in the public's hands and should serve all of Montrealers, not just private corporations which are making huge profits on it. So I think there should be attention should be also taken to these kind of contracts and how these contracts are being included with the developers too.
Well, it's very interesting, Manuel, because there are a whole bunch of failures that we're looking at in the city of Montreal. The Bluebonnet site that hasn't been developed, other plots of land when this city desperately needs housing, where developers have not been building because they don't want to play ball with the city. I wonder if that played into the city doing something that may or may not be above board here just to get shovels in the ground. So many facets of this story. Manuel, thanks for talking about a couple of those facets with us this morning. I appreciate your time.
Thank you again for the invitation.
That's Montreal lawyer Manuel Johnson, represents low-income tenants, and he has read the agreement and mortgage documents, in this case, in the agreement between the city and Devimco.